You've said the affirmations, you've written the scripts, you've tried so hard to think abundantly, and yet your chest still tightens every time you look at your bank account. What if nothing is wrong with your manifestation, and everything is asking to shift in the frequency you're living from inside your own body? Take a slow breath with me for a moment. Feel the air move in through your nose. Feel your ribs expand, and notice what happens inside you as you even hear the word money. Does your stomach clench even a little? Does your jaw tense? Do your shoulders creep up toward your ears as if you're quietly bracing for something uncomfortable? Your mind may tell you one story, but your body is revealing the truth of the frequency you've been living in. You have been doing your best with what you were taught. You were taught to stay positive, to visualize, to never admit fear, to feel grateful no matter what was in your wallet. And yet, there is a part of you that has been whispering, I still feel scared. I still feel like it could all disappear. I still feel like I don't deserve more than this. You've been carrying that contradiction like a quiet storm inside, and it's exhausting. Let that be fully acknowledged right now. You've been walking through a world that worships spreadsheets and numbers, while your sensitive, beautiful heart is trying to make sense of bills, responsibility, and spiritual teachings that sometimes made you feel like lack was your fault. If you've ever wondered, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get this prosperity thing right? You are not alone. You are not broken. You have never been broken. Somewhere along the way, you started to believe that your financial reality was evidence of your value as a soul. When things flowed, you felt good and high vibe. When things felt tight, you judged yourself as careless, blocked, or spiritually behind. That is such a heavy burden to place on a tender human heart, and it's one you are allowed to lay down now. Here's what I've come to understand. Prosperity consciousness isn't a performance. It isn't how perfectly you can repeat an affirmation or how convincingly you can smile when you're terrified inside. Prosperity consciousness is the inner atmosphere you live in. It's the deep, steady knowing that you are supported, that you belong in a life of sufficiency and overflow, and that you are safe to be exactly who you are while allowing more to come to you. What if prosperity consciousness isn't about forcing yourself to feel high vibe, but about gently aligning with a frequency of safety, sufficiency, and deservingness that your heart already recognizes as true? Notice how that lands in your body. Something in you has always known this. There is a quiet part of you that sighs with relief when you hear that you don't have to pretend, that you don't have to deny your fear in order to be worthy of abundance. You've probably seen the word frequency used so many times that it almost feels like a cliché now. But let's bring it back to something intimate and simple. When we speak about frequency, we're speaking about how it feels to be you most of the time, Not only when you're meditating, not only when you're scripting, but when you're paying for groceries, when you receive your salary, when an unexpected expense appears, when you think about your future. Ask yourself gently, what is the emotional weather inside me around money? Is it tense and stormy, full of what-ifs and I hope this works out somehow? Is it cloudy with shame, memories of being told you were irresponsible, selfish, or too much whenever you wanted something? Or is it beginning, even a little, to feel more spacious, like the air right after a soft rain, where something new can grow? The frequency of prosperity is not about never feeling fear. It's about allowing a deeper sense of I am still held to be present even when fear visits. Imagine for a moment that your inner world is like a gentle river. Scarcity consciousness feels like a dam made of old beliefs and tightness, forcing the water to push and strain. Prosperity consciousness is when the river remembers its natural flow again, not in a rush, not in a flood, but in a steady, trustworthy movement that knows how to find its way. If you have been craving security and overflow, it's not because you're greedy, it's because your soul is asking for the freedom to express itself more fully. If you've been craving relief from survival mode, that longing is holy. Have you noticed how your creativity, your generosity, your capacity to be present with others all expand when you feel even a little more supported? This is not an accident. This is your system showing you what prosperity consciousness makes possible. There's a belief many of us absorbed very early, that if we had more than the people around us, we would be judged, rejected, or unsafe. Maybe you watched adults argue about money. Maybe you felt the tension in a room when bills were due. Maybe you were told that wanting more was selfish, or that people like us never get ahead. Those words didn't only land in your mind, they imprinted in your body. They taught your nervous system that money equals danger, conflict, or shame. So of course a part of you has been hesitant to truly align with prosperity. How could you relax into abundance if some young, protective part of you still believes it will cost you love, belonging, or safety? If you've been sabotaging opportunities, undercharging, overgiving, or pushing money away without quite knowing why, it's because your system has been trying to protect you from an old, imagined threat. You are not lazy. You are not bad with money. You have been trying to stay safe. Take a breath and notice how it feels, even to hear that. You have been trying to stay safe. You've done an incredible job surviving with the tools you had, and now you're ready for a different way. Prosperity, consciousness begins with safety, not safety in the bank, safety in the body. Before your outer reality can expand sustainably, your inner world needs to believe that expansion is survivable. So rather than asking, how do I make more money right now? We begin with a gentler question. How can I help my body feel a little safer around the idea of being supported? You might place one over your heart and one over your lower belly, and gently say, "It's okay that you're scared. I'm not going to abandon you in this." Feel how your chest responds to that. Feel the subtle softening, even if it's only 1%. That 1% matters. These tiny shifts are exactly how we align with a new frequency. Small, repeatable moments where your system experiences money and support in a kinder light. If you've been telling yourself, "I'll feel safe when the money comes," I want to gently offer you another path. What if the money can come more easily when you begin to cultivate safety now, in the moments when nothing external has changed yet? This doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means holding your fears and your reality with immense compassion, while also making room for a new story to emerge. Let's look at one of the hidden stories that often blocks prosperity. There isn't enough. You may hear that sentence in your mind, or it may live underneath more subtle thoughts like, "I shouldn't spend on myself. If I receive, someone else will go without," or "I always have to struggle." If you've been thinking these thoughts for years, they've become part of your inner frequency, like a low hum in the background. For a moment, notice how often "there isn't enough" shows up in your life beyond money. Not enough time, not enough love, not enough attention, not enough rest. This pattern rarely shows up in only one area. If you've been feeling like life is constantly asking you to prove your worth, to do a little more, to carry a little extra, that's the same frequency wearing different clothes. If you've been drained, over-responsible, and always putting your needs last, it's because some part of you learned that your value came from what you give, not what you allow yourself to receive. And if that has been your reality, of course, receiving more money might feel unfamiliar, even threatening. Prosperity consciousness asks you to turn toward a new truth. It is safe for me to be supported. It is safe for me to receive. Notice what happens inside you as you hear those words. You might feel resistance. You might hear an inner voice say, "No, it isn't. Remember what happened last time?" That's okay. That voice is not your enemy. It's a very young part of you, tired of being disappointed or hurt. Instead of trying to silence it, you might say, "I hear you, and I'm open to discovering a new experience slowly, in a way that feels kind." This is the heart of aligning with prosperity frequency. We don't bully ourselves into a new reality. We befriend the parts of us that are still living in the old one. We bring every terrified, ashamed, exhausted part of our money story into the light of our own compassion. When you do this, something begins to relax inside you. And when you relax, your natural prosperity, the part of you that knows how to connect, create, and collaborate with life, can finally breathe again. Prosperity is a frequency, and you are already capable of tuning to it. Not perfectly, not all at once, but moment by moment. Think of it less like flipping a switch and more like adjusting the dial on a radio. You turn it a little, You listen. Sometimes there's static, old beliefs crackling through. Sometimes you catch a clear, beautiful signal of trust, gratitude, and sufficiency. Your only job is to keep choosing, as lovingly as you can, the thoughts, feelings, and actions that bring you a little closer to that clear signal. Let's make this very practical. The next time you receive money, whether it's a salary, a small gift, a discount, or even finding a coin on the ground, pause. Feel the weight of it, the reality of it. Let your shoulders soften and say, either out loud or silently, "Thank you. I am open to being supported." Stay with that for a few breaths. Let your body register the experience of receiving as something safe, something allowed. Then, when you spend money, even on something ordinary, try this. Instead of a quick, anxious transaction, slow down for a moment. Feel your feet on the ground. Breathe as you pay. And as the money leaves, you might say, "I release this with love, knowing it circulates and returns to me in new ways." You're not casting a spell. You are teaching your system that money moving out is not abandonment. It is circulation. Much like your breath, in and out, in and out. If you've been feeling like every bill is a personal attack, that is a sign of how long you've been carrying this alone. I want you to hear this clearly. The fact that you feel so much does not make you weak. It means you are sensitive, aware, and deeply connected to life. That sensitivity is a gift. The very tenderness that has made money feel so painful is also what will allow you to align with prosperity in a way that is ethical, compassionate, and deeply heart-centered. The sensitivity you've been trying to harden or numb is actually your guidance system. It tells you when your work is out of alignment. It tells you when a lucrative opportunity doesn't feel honest. It tells you when your body needs rest, even if hustle culture disagrees. As you begin to trust this sensitivity, you start making decisions that honor your energy instead of betraying it for short-term gain. And those decisions are the soil where sustainable prosperity grows. You might notice memories coming up, times you were mocked for wanting nice things, times you absorbed other people's fear about never having enough, times you felt smaller because someone else seemed more financially successful. If they arise, you don't have to analyze every scene. Instead, notice the feeling, perhaps place a hand on your heart and say, "That was then, this is now. I'm learning a new way." If you've been chasing prosperity through self-criticism, telling yourself you'll finally be worthy when you hit a certain number, when you finally get it right, when you never feel afraid again, you may have noticed that the finish line keeps moving. Have you seen how no amount ever feels like enough when you're still believing you are not enough? This is because the frequency is being generated from self-judgment, not self-worth. Prosperity consciousness, at its core, is an expression of self-love. It says, "I matter. My needs matter. My joy matters. My rest matters. My contribution matters. And because I matter, it is appropriate and natural for life to support me." This is not about entitlement. It is about remembering that you are part of the great circulation of life. You are not meant to be the one who always gives and never receives. So how do you begin to embody this in daily life? You start where you are, with what you have, in gentle, repeatable ways. Perhaps today, prosperity consciousness looks like allowing yourself 10 minutes of quiet rather than pushing through another task. Perhaps it looks like honestly looking at your finances with compassion instead of avoidance. Perhaps it looks like setting a small boundary in a relationship where you've been overgiving, trusting that your worth is not tied to how much you sacrifice. Notice how every one of these choices, rest, honesty, boundaries, is really about frequency. When you honor yourself, your inner atmosphere shifts from "I have to earn my place" to "I am allowed to be here as I am." And from that place, the actions you take around money begin to change, not from pressure, but from clarity. There is another pattern that often keeps prosperity at arm's length, believing you have to choose between your spiritual values and financial support. Perhaps you fear that if you become more prosperous, you'll become like the people who harmed you, or you'll lose your humility or your connection to what really matters. If this lives in you, it's understandable. You've seen money used unconsciously. You've seen greed hurt people and the planet. Your heart wants no part in that. What if aligning with the frequency of prosperity is precisely how your soul can serve more, not less? When your nervous system is not locked in survival mode, you think more clearly, you love more generously, you create with more integrity. When you can trust that your needs are being met, you stop making decisions from panic and start making them from purpose. Many find that as they allow themselves to be supported, their capacity to uplift others grows naturally. Can you feel the possibility that your prosperity could be a blessing, not a burden, to the world? That your thriving does not steal from anyone, but instead participates in a wiser circulation of resources where you can invest in what matters, support what you believe in, and rest enough to bring through your true gifts. Your heart already knows this is possible, and that's why you're still here, still listening, still open. In the coming days, you might start to notice small invitations from life to relate to money differently. Maybe an opportunity shows up that asks you to charge what your work is really worth. Maybe you receive an unexpected gift and feel the urge to downplay it instead of fully receiving it. Maybe you're guided to learn a skill, have a conversation, or make a change that honors your value more honestly. When these moments appear, remember, prosperity is a frequency, and each of these choices is a chance to tune the dial a little more toward "I am supported." You don't have to say yes to every opportunity, and you don't have to be perfect. You are allowed to move slowly. You are allowed to experiment. You are allowed to change your mind. The point is not to never feel fear or resistance again, but to meet them with more compassion and more awareness, so they no longer run your life from the shadows. Right now, as you hear these words, you are already shifting. You are bringing conscious attention to places in your body and your story that may have been ignored or shamed for years. That alone changes the field. Something in you is saying, I am ready to relate to prosperity in a new way. I am ready to be kinder to myself here. I am ready to believe that I am worthy of being supported. Let that be enough for this moment. Feel your feet on the ground or the surface beneath you. Notice your breath. Notice any tiny place in your body that feels even a little more spacious than when we began, even if it's the space between two tight places. That is the opening prosperity consciousness walks through. Over time, as you keep choosing self-compassion, as you keep practicing receiving, as you keep softening your body around money instead of hardening against it, a new baseline will quietly establish itself. You may look back months from now and realize that you no longer go into the same level of panic when an unexpected expense appears, or that you feel less shame when you desire something beautiful for yourself. You may notice that life seems to be meeting you with more support, more opportunities, more aligned connections. And if there are days when the old fears roar louder again, that doesn't mean you've failed or fallen back. It often means another layer is being revealed for healing. On those days, you can place a hand on your heart and remember, prosperity is a frequency. I can choose at this moment to treat myself with the same kindness I long to receive from life. That choice alone moves you into alignment. There is a simple practice you might experiment with, turning an ordinary moment into an anchor for this new frequency. Choose one small daily action, making tea, washing your face, sitting on the edge of your bed in the morning, and decide that this will be your prosperity moment. Each time you do it, pause, breathe, and let yourself feel, even for 3 breaths. In this moment, I am safe enough. In this moment, I am supported enough. In this moment, I allow the idea of more to feel gentle instead of overwhelming. Over time, these tiny ceremonies begin to rewire the way your body anticipates life. I once knew someone who carried heavy debt and a deep sense of shame about it for years. Every envelope in the mail felt like a threat. Every time the phone rang from an unknown number, her stomach twisted. One day, instead of trying to escape reality, she decided to meet it differently. She lit a candle, made herself a warm drink, and sat down with her bills as if she were sitting with a scared child. She told herself, I am not a bad person because of these numbers. I am someone who has survived a lot, and I am learning. Nothing changed on the page that day, but something profound changed in her frequency. In the months that followed, she did take practical steps, making calls, arranging plans, learning new skills, but they came from a place of self-respect instead of self-hatred. Slowly, her circumstances shifted, but even more importantly, her inner story shifted from I am a failure to I am a powerful being learning to care for myself. That inner story is the essence of prosperity consciousness. It's not about how perfect your situation looks. It's about how lovingly you hold yourself while you walk through it. What if you began to look at your own money story that way, not as evidence against you, but as a series of chapters in which you have always been doing the best you could with the awareness you had at the time? Can you feel how much softer your body becomes when you stop making yourself the villain and start seeing yourself as the courageous main character, growing wiser with each lesson? This shift alone can open doors that effort alone could never pry open. You may find it helpful to create one gentle affirmation that feels believable to you right now, something that doesn't ask you to leap from terror to ecstasy, but from terror to maybe. Perhaps it sounds like, I'm open to the idea that life can support me more than I've experienced so far. Or, I'm learning to feel safer with money, one step at a time. Let that be enough. Say it when you wake, when you pay, when you receive. Let it become a soft, steady current beneath the surface of your day. And when you notice yourself slipping into old thoughts, it's always going to be like this. People like me never get ahead. I'm probably messing this up. Meet those thoughts with a kind internal smile. You might respond, thank you for trying to protect me. We've believed that for a long time, and I'm practicing something new now. In that moment, you step out of automatic scarcity and back into conscious alignment. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. The way your body eventually remembers how to float when you relax into the water instead of thrashing. At first, it may feel unfamiliar, even a little vulnerable to trust that you are held. But as you keep choosing this trust in your own timing, according to your own inner guidance, you build a relationship with life itself that feels more like partnership than battle. That relationship is prosperity consciousness in motion, and you are already walking toward it, one gentle breath at a time,